Trump found guilty, but who is more guilty, Trump or the system itself? And will any verdict be able to appease everyone? Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for watching us today. Remember, subscribe to our channel and give us a like. But before I get into making unreasonable requirements of you, let us discuss the concept of justice. Justice assumes a moral authority at the heart of a nation, a planet, or a religion, or even an individual. These are indeed polarized and polarizing, divided times. We all knew that in all likelihood that whether it was a guilty verdict or a not guilty verdict, there would be people that were unsatisfied with the results of this trial. Now that Trump has been found guilty of 34 felonies, what do you imagine will be the consequences for America? What will be the consequences for the election? Of course, we've already seen hysterical celebration in some quarters and genuine grief elsewhere. What is this other than a catalyst for our own understanding of the deep divisions within America, the total mistrust in the justice system, the kind of acceptance that really this is a political trial? I mean, surely those that are celebrating Trump's conviction aren't like, good, thank God that felony has been correctly adjudicated, the right verdict has come. No, what those people are celebrating is, I don't like Donald Trump, and now Donald Trump has been convicted of something, which means he's likely to have a harder road to the White House. But does it really mean that? And when you have figures like Trump and De Niro polarizing America so significantly, with some people saying that Robert De Niro is the voice that America needs right now, and some people thinking that he's an out-of-touch lunatic, with some people thinking that Donald Trump is literally heaven sent, a kind of celestial intervention into a deeply corrupt country at a deeply corrupt time. How are you ever going to make that first word in the significant name of your great nation relevant, let alone authoritative or authentic ever again? The United States of America. What is this trial about? What is this verdict about? And what are the consequences likely to be? Let's get into it.
This morning, Donald Trump securing a new place in history, the first American president convicted of a crime. A Manhattan jury finding Mr. Trump guilty of falsifying his business records to cover up a conspiracy to corrupt the 2016 election.
I'm a very innocent man.
I like that even Trump's innocence is superlative. I'm a very innocent man. Not just, it's not a binary version of innocence. In the spectrum of innocence, this is extreme innocence. Or is it extreme corruption? On either count. At the moment, of course, Hunter Biden is undergoing a trial. Isn't it extraordinary that the judiciary, which was, I suppose, literally meant to be a system of adjudication so that we could have some absolute understanding of morality, of criminality, and certainly, of course, of law, is now obviously politicized? What I suppose we should return to is that first principle of justice, blind justice. If we were unable to know the name and the identity of the individual and were just presented with the bare facts, what would we say? And indeed, even the idea of bare facts is difficult nowadays because we live at a time when there is so much information available that we are almost living in total subjectivity or myriad interfacing subjectivities, i.e., what is the universal now? Once you say there is no God, nothing is real, there's no absolute moral authority, what are you leaning on? What is it that you are using to say that you are right and wrong if there is no God? What is your system of authority when the root of authority itself, a loving creator, has been removed from the picture for most people?
Jurors deliberating for just 9.5 hours.
9 hours seems like a relatively short amount of time. That usually suggests that the jury were unified and obviously indicates and demonstrates that they came to a quick conclusion. What will be harder to resolve is how America defines itself on the way to this election and throughout this electoral process. Did you see Tucker Carlson's tweet? Tucker Carlson was adamant that this is a political decision and a litmus test of America's current moral state, suggesting that it's even possible, likely even, that Donald Trump might be murdered.
The presumptive GOP nominee, who did not testify in his own defense, vowing to fight.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people, and they know what happened here.
The manner in which the funds were routed from Trump through his personal fixer Michael Cohen to Daniels constitutes at most a technical violation of federal election laws, which would ordinarily be settled with the payment of a fine. As for state law, the filing of false business reports portraying the money dispersed to Cohen as payments for legal services was only a misdemeanor, and the statute of limitations has long expired. DA Bragg, however, leveraged the misdemeanor into a felony by alleging that the false reports were an element of a conspiracy to violate federal law, even though no federal prosecutor has chosen to bring such a case. That's the point that Trump keeps making. Why was this not brought at this time? Why has it not been made in this way? So it does seem that it's been somewhat manipulated, amplified, turned into weaponized, I suppose is the correct word. The Democrats' differences with Trump have largely revolved around foreign policy, particularly over the use of Ukraine as a political and military spearhead against Russia. This is where it becomes truly important, because actually there are significant things happening in the world right now. The escalation of severe military conflict that could lead to, well, I don't want to over-egg it, but potentially an apocalypse.
If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave. He will never leave.
Sometimes it can be hard to sleep at night when you've got a lot of pressure and a lot of things to deal with, and too many children and a dog that's constantly whining, hustling and bustling leaves you wrestling with sleep. Every night can be a battleground with your own restless mind. I can drift off only to be woken in the middle of the night by never-ending, relentless thinking, stifled creativity, every day plagued with fatigue. These are the problems that you will face if you don't sleep properly. Dream is clinically shown to improve sleep quality. I've seen sleep elixirs promising the moon, and I'm sick of it. Dream is different. It's like the Zen master of sleep aids. No gimmicks, just restfulness. Dream is a gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, non-GMO, keto-friendly drink blend with the highest quality sleep-promoting ingredients. I wonder if you know which is my favourite flavour. See if you can guess. I'll tell you in a second. The immediate benefits are falling asleep faster, staying asleep, waking up, feeling totally refreshed. What an offering. If you're a parent like me, finding quality sleep feels like searching for a needle in a haystack, searching for a glistening diamond in a pile of manure. Dream leads you there. Beam's Dream is clinically shown to improve sleep. Click the link below or scan the QR code. Use the code BRAND, that's my name, BRAND, all caps, to get up to, this is ridiculous really, 35% off. Beam Dream. Go to shopbeam.com/Russell Brand. Use the code BRAND to shop the exclusive discount for up to 35% off. I like this one. The Mueller investigation, based on false allegations of widespread Russian interference in the 2016 US elections and the first impeachment of Trump based on his temporary withholding of US military aid to Ukraine, were both examples of this clash over foreign policy. Today, the central issue in official Washington is how to push through further billions in emergency military aid to Ukraine, despite the opposition among a section of House Republicans. What that suggests, I suppose, is that there are bigger things happening on a global stage than on a domestic stage, and I suppose just geographically that would make sense. But also that there is a secondary, ulterior and seldom acknowledged political trajectory that is being pursued, forced even, and that we're in a sense caught up in the theatre of Trump or De Niro. Meanwhile, global forces are able to bring about their will, while the rest of us recognise that, well, there's no electoral process by which we might decide whether or not we want to be involved in a conflict between Ukraine and Russia, whether or not we want to fund it, whether we think the situation in the Middle East should continue to escalate, whether America's military might and political and diplomatic weight might be put behind peace processes rather than processes of war. These are questions that are unable to be asked. And I don't know what the agenda of Donald Trump is, but I do have the strong sense that this person is a potent obstacle to globalism just by virtue of some of his idiosyncrasies, if not his ideals. Let me know what you think about that, though, in the chat. Nothing of this political reality is acknowledged in the coverage of the Trump trial in the corporate media. Instead, there are solemn, hushed voice commentaries about the historic character of the first ever criminal trial of a former president. The criminalization of private sexual conduct is fundamentally reactionary, as are sex scandals in general. They degrade the popular consciousness and drown political understanding in a geyser of sensationalism and prurient. The use of such allegations always involves an effort to conceal from the masses the real political differences being fought out within the ruling elite. As for the question of hush money, it's well known that the Democratic President Bill Clinton offered to pay $700,000 to Paula Jones to settle her lawsuit over her allegations of improper behavior. In that case, right-wing Republican lawyers induced Jones to refuse the money in order to engineer the perjury trap that led to Clinton's impeachment. In the current case, a Democratic district attorney is using equally underhanded methods. There is nothing progressive or democratic in such political cynicism. What I think we're left with is the reality that the Trump trial is an extraordinary circus on one hand. On the other hand, it is a political weapon to bring down an opponent. If you acknowledge that previously there have been comparable efforts to use money in dubious ways, notably the Clinton example just given, if you acknowledge that the charges have been amplified in order to weaponize them, and if you most significantly of all recognize that there are events taking place on a global scale that seem to be significantly more important yet connected to this, that if there is no means, no method, no way to oppose the corporate globalist elite and its agenda towards war and other crises that lead to authoritarianism, the pandemic being but one example. If we have no means to oppose that, then we don't have democracy. We've got no right to fight for democracy in Ukraine or fight democracy anywhere because we don't have it in the countries whose taxpayer dollars or pounds are paying for these conflicts. When you see Robert De Niro passionately espouse his views, I agree with his passion. I agree with his fervor. I agree with his desire to save the nation, to save the world. But what I feel now is that if you really care about democracy, you'd be better off supporting Trump than the neoliberal establishment, because I think they have much deeper, far more insidious ties to globalism, to the war machine, to authoritarian and manipulative media, and more likely to deploy the judiciary, even than their arch nemesis, Donald Trump. But it's not up to me to decide, is it? I'm an English person. I don't vote in your country. It's up to you to decide. It's up to you to like and to subscribe and to support our channel so that we can continue to tell you the truth as best as we understand it. So the Donald Trump verdict, guilty, it's a greater indictment on the American judiciary than on the man himself, because we know that were it a different person, there would have been a different result. And we know that the primary motivation, and this is clear even from the celebrations of his detractors and opponents, is not about bringing about justice. It's about bringing down a political opponent. And that in itself suggests that the process is bogus. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat? Remember, we make this content every day and we make it for you because we love you and we believe in peace and we believe in unity and we believe in an America where the De Niros and the Trumps and all of the various myriad opinions around them, between them, across them and throughout them can be brought together in peace, even if that means decentralization. Join us over on our channel for more of this content. We love you, and if you can, please, more important than any of that, stay free. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.